Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. He nearly dropped his cup as he rushed to the command center of the Aurora space station. The screens showed something that made his blood run cold. Dozens of massive ships hung in space around Earth like dark clouds before a storm. "Sir, we have unknown vessels in Earth orbit," reported Lieutenant Amy Brooks, her voice shaking. They appeared out of nowhere. No warning, no signals, nothing. Jake stared at the alien ships. They were huge, at least 3 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. Their hulls were black metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange. Symbols glowed red along their sides like angry eyes. "Try to contact them," Jake ordered. "All frequencies." Amy worked frantically at her station. "Sir, I'm getting nothing. They're not responding to any of our signals." That's when the first beam of light shot down from the lead alien ship. It struck New York City like a spear made of fire. The explosion was so bright that the cameras shut down automatically to protect themselves. When they came back online, a massive crater existed where the financial district used to be. "My God," whispered Jake, "they're attacking us." More beams rained down from the alien fleet. London, Tokyo, Beijing, Los Angeles, all were hit within minutes. The aliens were not trying to communicate. They were not interested in peace. They wanted to destroy. On Earth, Admiral Lisa Carter was in her office when the first attack hit. The building shook so hard that books fell from her shelves. Her aide, Captain Ron Davis, burst through her door. "Admiral, we're under attack. Unknown alien forces are bombarding major cities worldwide." Lisa felt her heart sink. Humanity had always wondered what would happen when they met aliens. They had hoped for friendship, maybe even help with their problems. Instead, they got war. "Get me to the command center," she ordered. "Now." The underground facility in Colorado Springs was built to survive nuclear war. Lisa hoped it would survive this too. The massive blast doors sealed shut behind her as she entered the war room. Screens showed the destruction happening around the world. Millions of people were already dead. What do we know about them? Lisa asked. Colonel Pete Walker stepped forward. "Not much, Admiral. They're using some kind of plasma weapons. Our satellites show they have at least 50 ships in orbit. Each one is bigger than our largest battleship. Our defenses? Useless. Our missiles can't even reach them. They're too high up, and their shields are blocking everything we throw at them." Lisa watched the screens in horror. The aliens were not just attacking military targets. They were hitting cities, schools, hospitals. This was not a war. It was slaughter. In Chicago, Dr. Alex Turner was working late in his laboratory when the ground shook. He looked out his window and saw a pillar of fire rising from downtown. His phone rang. It was his wife, Katie. "Alex, something terrible is happening. The news says we're being attacked by aliens. I'm scared." "Stay calm, honey. Take the kids to the basement. I'm coming home." But Alex never made it home. As he drove through the streets, he saw the second beam of light coming down. It hit his neighborhood directly. The explosion threw his car off the road and knocked him unconscious. He woke up hours later. Rescue workers were pulling him from the wreckage. His house was gone. His wife and children were gone. Everything he loved had been turned to ash in seconds. The aliens had made their first mistake. They thought they were fighting soldiers and governments. They didn't understand that they had just made enemies of every single human being on Earth. The creatures in the ships above were called Zephyrians. They looked like giant lizards that walked on 2 legs. They had been traveling the galaxy for thousands of years, conquering weak species and taking their planets. They had done this 47 times before. Earth was supposed to be number 40-8. Commander Zekrath stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the destruction below. His yellow eyes glowed with satisfaction. The humans were running around like insects. Their weapons were pathetic. Their technology was primitive. This would be easy. "How long until the planet is secure?" he asked his second-in-command. 3 days, Commander. Maybe less. The humans have no real defenses. Zekrath nodded. Good. Begin landing operations. We need workers for the mining colonies. Take the strong ones alive. Kill the rest. The Zephyrians had no idea what they had started. They saw humans as weak creatures who would surrender quickly. They were wrong. Humans did not surrender. When pushed to the edge, they became something else entirely. In the ruins of Los Angeles, Captain Lucy Foster crawled out of her destroyed command post. Half her face was burned, but she was alive. Around her, the city was on fire. Bodies lay everywhere. The alien ships floated above like metal gods, untouchable and terrible. Lucy found her radio and tried to contact headquarters. Static filled the air, but finally a voice came through. "This is General Mike Patterson. All units fall back to secondary positions. We're regrouping for a counterattack." Lucy almost laughed. Counterattack? With what? Their best weapons couldn't even scratch the alien ships. But then she remembered something her grandfather had told her about the Second World War. When the enemy thinks you're beaten, that's when you become most dangerous. The aliens had superior technology. They had bigger ships and better weapons. But they had never fought humans before. They didn't know that humans were the kind of species that would burn down the entire galaxy before they would kneel. The invasion was just beginning. But so was humanity's transformation from a peaceful species into something the galaxy had never seen before. The aliens wanted a war. They were about to get one that would make them wish they had never found Earth. 3 months had passed since the aliens destroyed Earth's cities. The world looked nothing like it used to. Smoke rose from the ruins of New York, London, and Tokyo. The aliens had landed their troops and built massive mining camps. Millions of humans worked as slaves, digging for metals and rare materials that the aliens needed. Colonel Ryan Brooks hid in the underground tunnels beneath Chicago. The subway system had become home to thousands of survivors. They lived like rats in the dark, afraid to go above ground where the alien patrols hunted them. Ryan had been a Marine before the invasion. Now he led a group of fighters who attacked alien supply convoys and tried to free human prisoners. It was dangerous work, and many of his people had died. But they kept fighting because it was all they had left. On this cold morning, Ryan and his team were planning their next mission when something unexpected happened. Private Danny Walsh came running down the tunnel, his face full of excitement. "Colonel, you need to see this. We caught one of them, a live alien." Ryan followed Danny to a storage room where they kept their weapons. On the floor, tied up with steel cables, was a Zephyrian soldier. The creature was 7 feet tall, with green scales and yellow eyes. It hissed and struggled against its bonds. "How did you capture it?" Ryan asked. "Lucky shot, sir. Hit it with a stun grenade when it was alone. The thing went down hard." Ryan studied the alien. "We need to learn everything we can about these creatures. Maybe find a weakness." Dr. Nina Wells was 2,000 miles away in the Australian desert, but she was working on the same problem. Her laboratory was hidden inside an old mining complex. The aliens had not found her yet, and she planned to keep it that way. Nina had been studying alien technology for weeks. She had pieces of their weapons, parts of their ships, even samples of their blood. What she discovered made her both excited and terrified. The aliens were connected to each other through their minds. They could share thoughts and memories instantly across vast distances. It was like they were all part of one giant brain. This made them very good at working together, but Nina thought it might also be their weakness. She was running tests on an alien communication device when something strange happened. The device started making a high-pitched sound that hurt her ears. She tried to turn it off, but the sound kept getting louder. Suddenly, the captured alien in Chicago started screaming. Ryan and his team watched in amazement as the creature writhed on the floor, holding its head in pain. After a few seconds, it stopped moving completely. "Is it dead?" Danny asked. Ryan checked the alien's pulse. "No, but it's unconscious." What the hell happened? 3,000 miles away, Nina was staring at her equipment in wonder. She had accidentally discovered something incredible. The alien communication system used a specific frequency that could disrupt their nervous systems. It was like finding the off switch for their brains. She immediately started recording everything. This discovery could change the war. General Mike Patterson was in his secret headquarters when he received Nina's report. The old soldier had seen many battles, but this war was different from anything he had experienced. The aliens were too strong, too advanced. But now, for the first time since the invasion, he felt hope. "Get me every scientist and engineer still alive," he ordered his aide. "We need to build weapons using this frequency. Lots of them." Patterson had been coordinating resistance groups around the world. Most attacks against the aliens failed because human weapons were too weak. But if they could use the aliens' own technology against them, maybe they had a chance. In the ruins of Los Angeles, Captain Lucy Foster was leading her own group of survivors. They had been watching the alien mining operations for weeks, looking for patterns and weaknesses. What they found was disturbing. The aliens were not just taking metals from Earth. They were also taking people. Thousands of humans were loaded onto ships and sent somewhere else. Lucy didn't know where, but she knew it wasn't good. "We need to find out where those ships are going," she told her team. Sergeant Bill Murphy, a former Navy SEAL, volunteered for the mission. "I can get close to their landing pad, plant some tracking devices on their ships." It was suicide, but Bill did it anyway. He crawled through the rubble for hours, avoiding alien patrols. When he reached the landing pad, he saw something that made his blood boil. Hundreds of human children were being loaded into metal cages. They were crying and calling for their parents. The aliens treated them like cattle, pushing them with electric sticks when they moved too slowly. Bill planted his tracking devices and crawled back to safety. The data they collected showed that the alien ships were going to 17 different locations across the galaxy. Each location was a world that the aliens had conquered. Dr. Alex Turner was in Patterson's headquarters when they received this information. He had been working day and night since losing his family, trying to find ways to hurt the aliens. The news about the other worlds made him realize something terrible. "They've done this before," he said quietly. "Earth isn't their first target. They've been conquering and enslaving species for who knows how long." Patterson nodded grimly. "Which means they'll keep doing it until someone stops them." Alex looked at the star maps showing the alien empire. 47 worlds. Billions of creatures enslaved or dead. The scale of the horror was almost impossible to understand. "We can't just fight them off Earth," Alex said. "Even if we win here, they'll come back with more ships. Or they'll attack some other world." Patterson understood what Alex was saying. This war wasn't just about saving Earth anymore. It was about stopping a plague that had been spreading across the galaxy for centuries. "What are you suggesting?" Patterson asked. Alex's eyes were cold when he answered. "We don't just drive them away. We hunt them down. All of them. Every last alien on every world they control." The room fell silent. What Alex was talking about wasn't war anymore. It was extermination. Nina Wells had been listening to the conversation through the radio. From her lab in Australia, she spoke up. "I can build the weapons." If we can get close enough to their ships, I can design devices that will shut down their entire fleet." Ryan Brooks spoke from Chicago. "My people can test the weapons. We'll make sure they work." Lucy Foster's voice came from Los Angeles. "And I can find their command centers, cut off their communications." One by one, the resistance leaders agreed to the plan. They would not just fight for Earth's freedom. They would make sure the aliens could never threaten anyone again. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They thought humans were just another weak species to be conquered. They didn't understand that humans were the kind of creatures who would follow their enemies to the ends of the universe to make them pay for their crimes. The hunt was about to begin. Dr. Nina Wells had been working for 18 hours straight. Her hands shook as she connected the last wire to the neural disruptor. The device looked simple, just a metal box with an antenna, but it could kill any alien within 50 yards. She tested it on the captured alien that Colonel Ryan Brooks had sent her. The creature was still unconscious from her first experiment. When she turned on the device, the alien's body went rigid. Its yellow eyes opened wide, then closed forever. "It works," she whispered. "The frequency stops their hearts." Nina immediately sent the plans to every resistance group on Earth. Within days, humans were building neural disruptors in hidden workshops and abandoned factories. The tide of war was about to change. Captain Lucy Foster got her first disruptor on a Tuesday morning. She and her team were planning to attack an alien patrol in downtown Los Angeles. Before, such missions were suicide. The aliens were too strong and too fast. But now Lucy had hoped that the patrol consisted of 5 Zephyrian soldiers walking through the ruins of Hollywood Boulevard. They carried plasma rifle that could melt steel. Their armor could stop bullets. But they had no protection against the weapon Lucy carried. She waited until the aliens were close together, then pressed the button. The disruptor made no sound, but all 5 aliens collapsed instantly. Their weapons clattered to the ground. Lucy and her team moved quickly to collect everything. "This is almost too easy," said Sergeant Bill Murphy. Lucy nodded, but she wasn't celebrating yet. "The real test comes when we hit their command ship." That night, Lucy led 20 fighters toward the alien landing zone. The neural disruptors had given them confidence, but they still faced hundreds of enemies. The mission was to capture an intact alien ship and learn its secrets. The landing zone was heavily guarded. Searchlights swept the area continuously. Garg towers held aliens with heavy weapons. But the humans had spent months studying the patterns. They knew when the guards changed shifts and where the blind spots were. Lucy's team moved like shadows through the rubble. They carried their disruptors and regular weapons as backup. The plan was simple: get close enough to use the frequency. Weapons, then take control of a ship. Commander Sam Rodriguez was leading a similar mission in Miami. His target was an alien communications center built on what used to be the beach. If they could capture it, they might learn the locations of other alien worlds. Sam had been a Navy pilot before the invasion. He knew how to fly anything with wings or rockets. If he could get his hands on an alien ship, he could figure out how to pilot it. The Miami attack went perfectly. Sam's team used their disruptors to kill the guards silently. Within an hour, they controlled the entire facility. The alien computers were still running, full of valuable information. What Sam found on those computers changed everything. The aliens had detailed maps of their entire empire. 47 worlds, just as the humans had suspected. But there was more. The maps showed trade routes, military bases, and most importantly, the location of the alien homeworld. Sam stared at the star charts in amazement. "We know where they live," he said to his team. "We can find every one of them." Back in Los Angeles, Lucy's mission had also succeeded. Her team captured a small alien transport ship intact. The pilot was dead from the neural disruptor, but the ship's systems were undamaged. Engineer Dan Cooper examined the alien technology with wonder. The ship used some kind of space-folding drive that could cross vast distances instantly. The power source was clean and almost unlimited. The weapons could destroy entire cities. "We can build copies of this," Dan told Lucy. "Give us 6 months and we can have a fleet." But they didn't have 6 months. Every day, more humans were being shipped off Earth as slaves. Every day, the aliens grew stronger. They needed to act fast. President Helen Moore was in her underground bunker when she received the reports from Lucy and Sam, the leader of what remained of the United States. Government had been coordinating with resistance groups worldwide. Now she faced the biggest decision in human history. Her military advisors were divided. General Patterson wanted to focus on freeing Earth first. Admiral Carter argued for immediate strikes against alien worlds. Dr. Turner insisted they needed more time to build weapons. "Ma'am," said Colonel Walker, "we have a narrow window of opportunity. The aliens don't know we've captured their technology yet. If we wait, they'll adapt their defenses." Helen studied the alien star maps, 47 worlds, billions of creatures who had never done anything to Earth. But she also thought about the millions of humans already dead, the children in those alien ships, the future that would never exist if humanity didn't act. "What exactly are you proposing?" she asked. Dr. Turner stepped forward. "Complete eradication. We hit every alien world simultaneously. No warnings, no mercy. We make sure they can never threaten anyone again." The room fell silent. What Turner described wasn't war. It was genocide on a galactic scale. "They started this war," Admiral Carter said quietly. "They chose to be conquerors and slavers. We're just finishing what they began." Helen thought about her own children, killed in the first attack on Washington. She thought about every human family destroyed by alien weapons. The choice became clear. "Do it," she said. "Project Cleansing is authorized. We hunt them all." Within hours, every resistance group on Earth received new orders. They were no longer fighting just to survive. They were the spearhead of humanity's revenge against an entire species. Nemia Wells began designing weapons that could kill millions of aliens at once. Ryan Brooks started training assault teams for planetary invasions. Lucy Foster worked on converting captured alien ships for human use. The aliens had no idea what was coming. They thought humans were a defeated enemy, useful only as slaves and resources. They continued their mining operations and slave raids as if nothing had changed. Commander Zekrath was planning his next conquest when the reports started coming in. Human attacks were increasing. Several outposts had gone silent. Patrol ships were disappearing. "Increase security," he ordered. "The humans are getting desperate." But it wasn't desperation driving humanity forward. It was cold, calculated hatred. The humans had learned their enemy's weaknesses and were preparing to exploit them completely. The first human ships were already being built in secret factories around the world. Soon they would carry death to 47 alien worlds. The hunt was about to begin, and it would not end until every Zephyrian in the galaxy was dead. The aliens had taught humanity a valuable lesson. In the universe, there were predators and prey. They had assumed humans were prey. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 2 years had passed since the aliens first attacked Earth. Now it was humanity's turn to bring death to other worlds. Admiral Carl Thompson stood on the bridge of the UE's Vengeance, watching as his fleet dropped out of hyperspace near the alien world of Kepler-442b. The planet was beautiful from space. Blue oceans and green continents covered its surface. 3 billion Zephyrians lived there, mining precious metals and growing food for their empire. None of them knew that death had just arrived. "All ships begin orbital bombardment," Carl ordered. 50 human warships opened fire at once. They used weapons copied from alien technology, but made more powerful. Plasma beams lanced down from space, turning cities into glass craters. The aliens on the surface had no warning, no chance to fight back. Within hours, the planet's surface was burning. The human ships moved in perfect formation, systematically destroying every alien settlement they could find. It was not a battle. It was extermination. Dr. Janet Price watched the destruction from her laboratory ship. She had spent months creating the Genesis Protocol, a virus that would change the planet's atmosphere. The virus would make the air poisonous to aliens, but safe for humans who might want to live there later. "Release the Genesis Protocol," she told her team. Millions of tiny robots fell from the ships like rain. Each robot carried the virus and would spread it across the planet. Within days, any alien that breathed the air would die slowly and painfully. But the humans were not finished. Engineer Dan Cooper had built something even more terrible: self-replicating hunter machines. These robots could copy themselves using materials they found on the planet. They would hunt aliens forever, even after the human fleet left. "Deploy the hunters," Carl commanded. Thousands of small metal shapes dropped from the ships. They looked harmless, like silver insects. But each one contained an artificial brain, programmed with one simple goal: find aliens and kill them. The hunters spread across the planet like a plague. They could detect alien heat signatures from miles away. When they found their targets, they killed quickly and efficiently. Then they used the alien bodies to build more hunters. On the planet's surface, the few surviving aliens tried to fight back. They had weapons and ships, but it was useless. The human attack had been too sudden and too complete. Most of their military was already dead. Commander Tech Vash was the highest-ranking alien, still alive on Kepler 442b. He tried to contact other worlds for help, but the humans had jammed all communications. They had also destroyed the space elevators and launch platforms. No one was leaving this world alive. How could this happen? Tekvash asked his aide. The humans were defeated. They were slaves. But even as he spoke, hunter robots were crawling through the ventilation system of his bunker. They found him an hour later. His death was quick, but not merciful. Meanwhile, other human fleets were attacking different alien worlds. Captain Lucy Foster led the assault on the mining world of Proxima 7. Her ships arrived without warning and began their work of destruction. Lucy had changed since losing her home city. She no longer felt any emotion when she watched alien cities burn. To her, the creatures below were not people. They were targets to be eliminated. "Status report," she demanded. "All primary targets destroyed, Captain. The orbital stations are gone. No alien ships escaped." Lucy nodded. "Begin the cleansing protocol." The cleansing protocol was humanity's most efficient method of planetary destruction. First, they poisoned the water supplies with chemicals that only affected alien biology. Then they released diseases designed to target alien immune systems. Finally, they used nuclear weapons to crack the planet's crust and expose the molten core. Within a week, Proxima 7 was a dead world. The 3 billion aliens who had lived there were gone. The planet itself was ruined beyond repair. Nothing would ever live there again. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. Human fleets appeared without warning and brought total destruction. The aliens had no defense against this new kind of warfare. The humans had learned from their enemies. They used the aliens' own faster-than-light travel to move between worlds quickly. They used alien weapons and shields to protect their ships. But they also added their own innovations: biological weapons, computer viruses, and automated killing machines. Marcus Lee was one of humanity's best computer experts. He had figured out how to hack into the alien hive mind network. From his ship in orbit around the world of Tau City 4, he launched his attack. The virus he created spread through the alien mental network like wildfire. It caused the aliens to see things that were not there. It made them attack their own people. It drove them insane with fear and pain. On the planet below, millions of aliens suddenly turned on each other. They fought in the streets, in their homes, in their government buildings. The hive mind that had once been their greatest strength became their destruction. Marcus watched the chaos through his monitors. He felt no guilt about what he was doing. The aliens had started this war when they attacked Earth. Now they were paying the price. General Mike Patterson was coordinating the entire campaign from his flagship. He had maps showing the progress of every human fleet. One by one, the alien worlds were falling. Soon, only their home world would remain. "Sir," reported his aide, "we've received confirmation. 17 alien worlds have been completely destroyed. No survivors." Patterson marked the worlds on his map with red crosses. Each cross represented billions of dead aliens. In the old days, such numbers would have horrified him. Now they just meant that humanity was winning. The aliens finally realized what was happening to them. Commander Zick Roth, still on Earth, received desperate messages from across the Empire. World after world was going silent. Entire civilizations were being wiped out. "Impossible," he said. "The humans don't have this kind of power." But they did. They had learned it from the aliens themselves. They had taken the technology of their conquerors and turned it into something far more deadly. Rath tried to coordinate a defense, but it was too late. The human attacks were too fast and too widespread. By the time alien reinforcements could reach a threatened world, that world was already dead. The hive mind network that connected all aliens was filling with screams of terror and pain. Messages came from dying worlds, begging for help that would never arrive. The great Zephyrian Empire was collapsing in flames. On Earth, President Helen Moore received reports of each victory. She showed no emotion as she read about the destruction of entire civilizations. Her advisors sometimes wondered if she felt any regret about the genocide they were committing. "Ma'am," asked Colonel Walker, "do you ever think about the alien civilians? The ones who never attacked us?" Helen looked at him with cold eyes. "They stood by while their military enslaved and murdered humans. They benefited from our suffering. They are all guilty." The extermination campaign continued for months. Human fleets struck at alien worlds with mechanical precision. No alien ship could escape. No alien world could hide. Humanity had become the galaxy's most efficient killing machine. Soon, only one alien world remained, their home planet of Zephyr Prime. 8 billion aliens lived there, including their leaders and their ancient culture. It would be humanity's final target and their most complete victory. The hunt was almost over. General Kate Murphy stood in the command center of the UES Retribution as her massive fleet approached Zephyr Prime. The alien homeworld hung in space like a green and blue jewel. 8 billion Zephyrians lived on its surface, unaware that their entire species was about to end forever. "All ships report ready, General," said Commander Tim Roberts. "The planet is surrounded. No alien vessel can escape." Kate looked at the tactical display. 200 human warships formed a perfect sphere around the planet. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a continent. Together, they could crack the world in half. The journey to this moment had taken 3 years. 3 years of hunting aliens across the galaxy. 3 years of destroying their worlds one by one. Now only Zephyr Prime remained. "Open a channel to all ships," Kate ordered. "This is General Murphy. Today we finish what the aliens started when they attacked Earth. Today, we make sure they can never hurt anyone again. On the planet below, Supreme Commander Vex Collar stared at the human fleet through his telescope. He was the leader of all Zephyrian forces, but his armies were scattered across dead worlds. His mighty empire had been reduced to this single planet. "Sir," said his aide, "the humans are demanding our complete surrender. They want all weapons destroyed and all military personnel to report for execution." Vex Collar laughed bitterly. "They think we will just lie down and die. They do not understand Zephyrian pride." But even as he spoke, Vex Collar knew the truth. The humans had already won. They had destroyed 46 worlds. Billions of his people were dead. The great Zephyrian Empire was finished. Captain Tony Miller commanded one of the attack ships in the human fleet. He had lost his entire family in the first alien attack on Earth 4 years ago. Since then, he had dedicated his life to making the aliens pay. Tony had personally overseen the destruction of 7 alien worlds. He had watched billions of enemies die without feeling any guilt. To him, every dead alien was justice for his murdered children. "Sir," reported his weapons officer, "the planet's shields are at maximum strength. They're preparing to fight." Tony smiled coldly. "Let them try. Begin orbital bombardment." The human fleet opened fire with everything they had. Plasma beams, nuclear missiles, and gravity bombs rained down on the planet. The alien shields held for a few minutes, then began to crack. The first explosions lit up the dark side of Zephyr Prime like new suns. Entire cities vanished in balls of fire. Mountains were flattened. Oceans began to boil. Dr. Janet Price watched the destruction from her science vessel. She had prepared a special gift for the alien homeworld, a biological weapon that would ensure no Zephyrian DNA could ever exist again. "The planet's atmosphere is breached," she reported. "Beginning final protocol deployment." Millions of tiny machines fell from her ship like deadly snow. Each machine carried a virus designed to destroy Zephyrian genetic material. Any alien that survived the bombing would die from this plague. Even alien corpses would dissolve into nothing. On the planet's surface, civilian aliens ran through burning streets, trying to find shelter. Children cried for their parents. Old creatures prayed to their gods for mercy. But mercy was something humans no longer understood. The bombardment continued for 12 hours. When it finally stopped, most of the planet was on fire. The beautiful cities that had stood for thousands of years were gone. Rivers of lava flowed where forests used to grow. Admiral Carl Thompson received a message from the planet's surface. A surviving alien leader wanted to surrender. He was begging for his people's lives. "Put him through," Carl ordered. The alien's face appeared on the screen. It was burned and bloody. Behind him, Carl could see the ruins of what had once been a great city. "Please," the alien said in broken human language, "we surrender. No more fight. Spare the children. Spare the innocents." Carl stared at the creature for a long moment. He thought about all the human children who had died in the first attack. He thought about the slave camps and the destroyed cities of Earth. "You should have thought about mercy when you attacked us," Carl said. "You get none in return." He cut the transmission and gave the final order. "All ships, prepare for planetary cracking. We end this now." The largest human weapons fired deep into the planet's core. Nuclear charges exploded in the molten center of Zephyr Prime. The world began to shake apart like a broken egg. Dr. Alex Turner was on one of the command ships, watching the final moments of the alien species. He had spent years designing weapons to kill them. Now his work was complete. As the planet broke apart, Alex activated his last creation, a device that would scan the entire galaxy for any remaining Zephyrian DNA. If even a single alien had somehow escaped to another star system, the device would find them. The scanner found nothing. Every alien was dead. The Zephyrian species had been completely erased from the universe. "It's over," Alex said quietly. "They're all gone." News of the victory spread quickly through the human fleet and back to Earth. In the underground shelters and hidden bases, humans celebrated. Their long war was finally finished. President Helen Moore received the final report in her bunker. She read it without emotion, then filed it away. The Zephyrian threat was ended. Humanity could begin rebuilding, but the galaxy would never be the same. Other alien species had watched the war from a distance. They had seen what humans could do when pushed too far. The small blue planet that had once seemed so harmless was now the most feared world in space. Captain Lucy Foster was among the last humans to leave the Zephyr system. She watched through her ship's window as the broken pieces of the alien homeworld drifted apart. Soon there would be nothing left but space dust. Lucy thought about the war and what humanity had become. They had started as victims, fighting just to survive. But somewhere along the way, they had transformed into something else, the galaxy's most efficient killers. The aliens had taught them that the universe was a dangerous place where only the strong survived. They had learned that lesson well. Perhaps too well. 50 years later, when other alien species made contact with Earth, they did so very carefully. They brought gifts and spoke of peace. They had all heard the story of the Zephyrians, the species that had attacked Earth and been erased completely. The galaxy now knew a simple truth. Humans looked small and weak, but they were the most dangerous creatures in space. They did not just win wars. They eliminated their enemies so completely that it was as if they had never existed. The war was over. Humanity had won. But in winning, they had lost something important, their innocence. They could never again pretend to be the peaceful species they had once been. The stars were vast and full of dangers, but now everyone knew that the greatest danger of all came from a small blue world where humans lived, a world that would show no mercy to anyone who threatened it. The Zephyrian Empire was gone forever, and the galaxy would remember why.